Clara's knees hit the frozen ground. She couldn't feel them anymore. Her fingers, blue and cracked, lost their grip on her daughter's hand. The child screamed. The boy tried to pull his mother up, but she was done. Finished. The snow kept falling, and Clara whispered to God, "Take me. Just take me now." But God didn't answer. A stranger did. Every road holds a story. Subscribe to walk beside us into the next horizon. Drop your city in the comments. Let me know how far this tale has traveled. Now let me tell you how Clara Whitmore learned that sometimes mercy comes on horseback. Clara Whitmore had stopped believing in miracles 300 miles ago. She dragged her boots through the snow, each step heavier than the last. Her son walked ahead, his small shoulders squared against the wind. Her daughter clung to her skirt silent, as she'd been for weeks now. "Mama." Hank turned around. "Mama, I see smoke." Clara squinted. Her vision blurred. Everything blurred now. Where? There. He pointed toward a ridge she could barely make out. "Someone's got a fire going." She wanted to tell him it didn't matter. That smoke meant people, and people meant doors closing in their faces. Again. Like Laramie. Like Cheyenne. Like every town they'd passed through since the bank took everything. But Lily was shaking. Not from cold anymore. Something worse. "All right," Clara said. We walked toward the smoke. They walked. The snow came harder. Clara counted her steps to keep moving. 1, 2, 3. At 47, she stumbled. At 62, Lily stopped walking entirely. "Baby, please." Clara knelt down. "Just a little further." Lily's eyes were glassy. Her lips had turned the wrong color. "Mama, she's real cold." Hank pulled off his own coat. "Here, Lily. Take mine." "No." Clara grabbed it. "You keep that on." "But she—" "I said no." Her voice cracked. "Hank, you put that back on right now." He did. His eyes were wet, but he didn't cry. 8 years old, and he'd already learned that crying didn't fix anything. Clara lifted Lily into her arms. The girl weighed almost nothing. When had she gotten so light? "We keep moving," Clara said. "We don't stop." They didn't stop. But Clara's body had other plans. At step 103, her knees buckled. She went down hard, twisting to keep Lily from hitting the ground. Pain shot through her hip, her shoulder, her everything. "Mama!" Hank ran back. "I'm fine." She tried to stand. Couldn't. "I'm fine. I just—" The world tilted sideways. "Mama, get up. Please get up." Clara looked at her son, at his wind-burned cheeks and his father's stubborn jaw. She looked at Lily limp in her arms, barely breathing. She'd promised Samuel she'd take care of them. On his deathbed with coal dust still in his lungs, she'd held his hand and sworn it. Now she was going to break that promise. "Hank." Her voice came out strange, calm. "Listen to me." "No." He shook his head. "No, you're getting up." "If I don't—" "You are." He grabbed her arm with both hands. "You're getting up, and we're walking to that smoke, and someone's gonna help us. You said there's always someone who helps. You said that, Mama. You said it." She had said it, back when she still believed it. "Baby, I can't feel my legs." "Then I'll carry you." "Hank." "I'll carry both of you." His voice broke. "I'm strong. Pa said I was strong. He said I was the man now, and I'm gonna—" He was crying. Her boy, who never cried, was sobbing in the snow, pulling at her arm, like he could lift a grown woman through pure will. Clara closed her eyes. God, she thought, if you're listening, if you ever listened, don't let them watch me die. "Hello there." The voice came from somewhere above, deep, steady. Clara forced her eyes open. A man sat on horseback looking down at them. His hat was pulled low, his coat dusted with snow. Behind him the sky had turned the color of iron. "You folks need help." Hank stepped in front of his mother. "Who are you?" "Name's Jake Calhoun." The man dismounted, slow hands visible. I'm foreman at the Thornton Ranch. Saw you from the ridge. We don't need charity, Clara said. The words came out slurred. We're fine. Jake crouched down to her level. This close she could see his eyes. Gray. Clear. No pity in them. Just assessment. Ma'am, with respect, you ain't fine. He looked at Lily. How long she been like this? She's just cold. She's got frostbite starting on her fingers. Maybe her toes, too. He stood up. I'm gonna pick up your daughter now. That all right? Don't you touch her. Mama. Hank's voice was small. Mama, let him help. Clara looked at her son, at the fear in his eyes, at the way his whole body shook. She'd rather die than accept charity, but she couldn't let her children die for her pride. All right, she whispered. All right. Jake moved fast. He wrapped Lily in his own coat, then lifted Clara like she weighed nothing at all. Before she could protest, he'd set her on his horse. Boy, can you ride? Yes, sir. Good. You're gonna sit behind your mama and hold on tight. I'll walk. In this snow. Horse can't carry 3 and make any time. I'll manage. He handed Hank up, then took the reins. Ranch is about 2 miles. We move quick, your sister's got a chance. Clara wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she didn't need saving, didn't want saving, had stopped believing anyone would bother. Instead, she held her daughter close and let a stranger lead them through the storm. The ranch house emerged from the white like a mirage. Clara barely registered it. Her body had gone numb somewhere between the first mile and the second. She knew she should pay attention, should take stock of where they were and who might be waiting. But Lily hadn't moved in 20 minutes, and that was all she could think about. Agnes. Jake's voice cut through the wind. Agnes, open up. The door swung wide. A woman stood there, gray-haired and sharp-eyed, wiping her hands on an apron. Lord have mercy. Jake, what did you drag in? Found 'em on the North Ridge. Little one's got frostbite. Maybe worse. Agnes didn't hesitate. Bring her in. Put her by the fire. Don't you rub those fingers, you hear? Just warm water. Hank, is it? Come here, boy. Let's get you warmed up too. Clara tried to follow, but her legs gave out the moment she slid off the horse. Jake caught her. Easy. I can walk. No, ma'am, you can't. He half carried her inside, setting her in a chair by the fireplace. Stay put. My children. Agnes has got 'em. She raised 6 of her own. Your little ones are in good hands. Clara's teeth were chattering too hard to argue. She watched Agnes strip Lily down, wrap her in warm blankets, ease her tiny fingers into a basin of water. Watched Hank hover nearby, his face pale and terrified. She gonna be okay? He asked. We'll see. Agnes's voice was matter-of-fact. But she's breathing. That's something. Clara closed her eyes. She should be over there. Should be helping. Should be doing something besides sitting here useless while strangers saved her children. Here. She opened her eyes. Jake stood in front of her holding a cup. Coffee. Got some whiskey in it. Drink. Wasn't asking. He pressed it into her hands. Drink. She drank. The warmth spread through her chest, sharp and almost painful. Thank you, she said. The words felt foreign in her mouth. Jake nodded. Where are you coming from? Laramie. Before that, Cheyenne. Before that... She stopped. Does it matter? Reckon it might. She stared at the fire. My husband died 8 months ago. Mining accident. Company said it was his fault, so they didn't owe us nothing. Bank took the house. Took everything. And you've been walking since... Couldn't afford the stage. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then, that's a hell of a walk. Wasn't much choice. There's always a choice. He pulled a chair over and sat across from her. Question is whether you had any good ones. Clara looked at him. Really looked. He wasn't young, but he wasn't old either. Lines around his eyes. a scar on his jaw half hidden by stubble, hands that looked like they knew hard work. "Why'd you stop for us?" she asked. "Saw you from the ridge." "You could have kept riding. Most would have." "I ain't most." "That's not an answer." He leaned back. "All right, you want the truth. I stopped because I've been where you are. Different circumstances, but the same look in the eyes." He paused. "Like you're hoping somebody'll tell you it's okay to quit." Clara's throat tightened. "I don't need your pity." "Good, I ain't offering any." He stood up. "Agnes'll get you and your kids settled in the bunkhouse. There's empty beds. Ain't fancy, but it's warm." "We can't pay." "Did I ask for money?" "I don't take charity." Jake looked at her. A long, steady look that made her want to turn away. "Lady, you got 2 children depending on you. One of 'em might lose fingers tonight if we ain't careful. You're half frozen yourself, probably haven't eaten proper in weeks." He took her empty cup. "Whatever you got against charity, I suggest you put it aside for now." "And then what? We stay here a night, maybe 2, and then we're back on the road. I've had help before. It always runs out." "Maybe it does." He walked toward the door. "But right now your daughter's breathing and your son's warming up. That's more than you had an hour ago." He left. Clara sat there, hands still shaking around the memory of warmth. From across the room, Agnes caught her eye. "He's rough around the edges," the older woman said. "But he's good people. Best not to question it too hard. I don't understand why he'd—" "Don't need to understand. Just need to accept." Agnes lifted Lily gently. "Now come on. Help me get this little one to bed. You can sort out the whys and wherefores in the morning." Clara stood. Her legs held this time. She followed Agnes through a door into a smaller room where a narrow bed waited by a window. Agnes laid Lily down, tucking quilts around her small body. "She needs to stay warm. Check her fingers every hour. If they start going black, you call for me." "Going black?" "Means the frostbite's taken hold. But we caught it early. She should be all right." Agnes paused at the door. "Your boy's already asleep in the bunk room. Ate 3 biscuits before he passed out." Clara almost smiled. "He's always hungry." "Growing boys usually are." Agnes studied her. "When's the last time you ate?" Clara couldn't remember. "That's what I thought. There's soup on the stove. You eat something, then you sleep. Understood?" "Yes, ma'am." Agnes's expression softened just slightly. "You made it this far. That counts for something." Then she was gone, and Clara was alone with her sleeping daughter. She sat on the edge of the bed. Lily's breathing was steady now, her color returning. Clara lifted one small hand, examining the fingers. Red, swollen, but not black. "I'm sorry," Clara whispered. "I'm so sorry, baby." Lily didn't wake. Clara sat there until her eyes wouldn't stay open anymore. Then she curled up beside her daughter, wrapped her arms around her, and let the darkness take her. She woke to voices. Morning light filtered through frost-covered windows. Lily was still asleep, still breathing. Clara lay still listening. "Can't just keep them here." The voice was male, not Jake's, younger, sharper. "With respect, Mr. Thornton, they ain't in your way." That was Jake. "Everything on this ranch is my concern, Calhoun. My father's not well enough to oversee things, which means I am. And I'm telling you, we can't take in every stray that wanders through." "They're not strays. They're people. They're a liability." A pause. "What happens if the woman gets sick? If one of the children gets hurt? We're responsible. Do you understand what that means legally, financially?" "I understand a 5-year-old nearly lost her fingers last night. And that's tragic, truly, but it's not our problem." Clara's hands curled into fists. "Give me a week," Jake said. 1 week. The woman can work. Cook, clean, whatever Agnes needs. She'll earn her keep. And if she can't, then I'll take them to town myself. A long silence. 1 week, the younger voice said finally. But they stay out of sight. I've got buyers coming next month, and I won't have them thinking this is some kind of refuge for vagrants. Footsteps. A door closing. Clara sat up slowly. Her body ached in places she didn't know could ache. But she was awake. She was alive, and she had 1 week to prove she wasn't a vagrant. She checked Lily one more time, then slipped out of the room. The bunkhouse was larger than she'd realized. A long hall lined with beds, a pot-bellied stove at each end, the smell of coffee and bacon in the air. Hank was sitting at a table near the kitchen, a plate of eggs in front of him. "Mama!" He jumped up and ran to her. "Lily, okay?" "She's sleeping. How are you?" "Fine. Agnes made breakfast. She said I could have seconds if I wanted." "Did you say thank you?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good boy." She squeezed his shoulder. "You stay here, all right? I need to talk to someone." She found Jake outside mending a fence near the barn. He didn't look up when she approached. "Heard the conversation," she said. "Figured you might." "I don't need a week. Give me 3 days." He stopped working. 3 days for what? To prove I'm not a liability. She squared her shoulders. "I can cook. I can clean. I can mend clothes, balance books, teach children their letters. Whatever you need, I can do it." "That's quite a list." "I was a school teacher before I married, ran the house after. I've done hard work my whole life, Mr. Calhoun. I'm not afraid of more." Jake studied her. "The man you heard talking, that's Marcus Thornton. His daddy owns this spread, but the old man's sick. Marcus is running things now, and he's got ideas about efficiency. Meaning he doesn't want mouths to feed that aren't earning their keep." "Something like that." Clara nodded. "Then I'll earn my keep, and my children's. And if it's not enough, then we leave in 3 days, and you never see us again." She met his eyes. "But I'm telling you right now, Mr. Calhoun, it'll be enough." For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. "All right, Mrs. Whitmore, 3 days." He picked up his hammer. "Agnes could use help with supper. Best get started." Clara turned to go, then stopped. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "And don't tell me it's because you saw us from the ridge. I need a real answer." Jake drove a nail into the fence post. "Once. Twice. I had a sister once," he said. "Lost her on the road west when she was about your daughter's age. Wasn't anybody around to help us then." He looked at her. "Maybe if there had been, things would have been different." Clara didn't know what to say. "Get on to the kitchen, Mrs. Whitmore. You're wasting daylight." She went. 3 days. Clara worked like her life depended on it. Because it did. She peeled potatoes until her hands cramped. She scrubbed floors until her knees bled through her skirt. She mended shirts by candlelight when everyone else was asleep. Agnes watched her with sharp eyes and said little. But on the second day, she handed Clara a cup of tea and said, "You don't have to kill yourself, girl." "Yes, ma'am. I do. Marcus Thornton's a fool. Anyone can see you're no vagrant." "He sees what he wants to see." Clara kept scrubbing. "I just need to show him something different." On the third day, Marcus came to inspect. He walked through the bunkhouse like he was surveying cattle. Clara stood by the stove, hands folded, eyes down. "The floor's clean," he observed. "Yes, sir." "The children?" "In the back room. They won't bother anyone." He glanced toward the door where Hank stood watching. "The boy looks capable enough. He could work in the stables." "He's 8. I started working at 6. Marcus turned to Jake, who'd been standing in the corner. "Well, you vouched for her. Is she worth keeping?" Jake's jaw tightened. "She's done more work in 3 days than some of our hands do in a week." "That's not what I asked." Clara stepped forward. "Mr. Thornton, I know I'm not what you want here. I know we're a complication. But I'm asking, you give us a chance. Until spring. If we're not earning our keep by then, we'll go. You'll never see us again." Marcus's eyes were cold, calculating. "Until spring," he said finally. "But you answer to Agnes. And if I hear one complaint, you're gone. Understood?" "Understood." He left without another word. Clara let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "Well," Agnes said from behind her, "looks like you bought yourself some time." "Until spring." "That's more than you had yesterday." Clara looked out the window. Snow was falling again, soft and relentless. Somewhere in the back room, Lily was laughing at something Hank had said. It was the first time Clara had heard her laugh in months. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I suppose it is." Jake caught her eye across the room. He nodded once. She nodded back. Spring was a long way off. But for the first time since Samuel died, Clara Whitmore had something she'd forgotten how to feel. She had hope. The first week passed in a blur of work and exhaustion. Clara learned the rhythms of the ranch: coffee before dawn, breakfast for 12 hands, dishes, laundry, mending, lunch, more dishes, supper, collapse into bed, repeat. Agnes never praised her, but she stopped hovering. That was praise enough. "You're working yourself into the ground," Jake said one morning, catching her hauling water from the well. "I'm fine." "You're shaking." Clara set the bucket down. Her arms were trembling. She hadn't noticed. "I've got 3 months to prove I belong here. I don't have time to be tired." Jake took the bucket from her hands. "You don't have time to collapse either." "I said I'm fine." "And I said you're shaking." He started walking toward the kitchen bucket in hand. "Come on. Agnes made biscuits." Clara followed, too tired to argue. Inside, Hank was already at the table helping Lily eat her porridge. The little girl had color in her cheeks now. Her fingers were healing pink and whole. "Mama." Lily looked up. Clara froze. That was the second word Lily had spoken since her father died. "What did you say, baby?" Lily pointed at her bowl. "More." 3 words. 3 words in one morning. Clara's eyes burned. She knelt beside her daughter, cupping her face in her hands. "You want more porridge?" Lily nodded. "Then you'll get more porridge. You'll get whatever you want." Agnes appeared with a fresh bowl, her expression soft in a way Clara hadn't seen before. "Well now. Somebody's finding her voice." Jake stood in the doorway watching. When Clara looked at him, he tipped his hat and slipped outside without a word. But she saw the smile. Just barely. Just enough. 2 days later, trouble arrived on horseback. Clara was scrubbing the porch when she heard them coming. 3 riders moving fast, kicking up snow. She stood wiping her hands on her apron. Marcus Thornton led the group. Behind him rode 2 men she didn't recognize. One was thin and wiry, with eyes that moved too fast. The other was big, broad-shouldered, with a face like he'd lost too many fights. "Mrs. Whitmore." Marcus dismounted. "I don't believe you've met our new arrivals. This is Silas Crane. He'll be overseeing operations while I'm in Cheyenne next month." Silas tipped his hat. The gesture was polite. His eyes were not. "Ma'am." "Mr. Crane?" "And this is Dutch." Marcus gestured at the bigger man. "He works for Silas." Dutch didn't tip his hat. He just stared. Clara's skin prickled. She'd known men like this before. Back in the mining camps. Back when Samuel was alive, and she learned to sleep with a knife under her pillow. "Jake around?" Marcus asked. "In the barn, I believe." "Fetch him." Clara didn't move. "I'm not a servant, Mr. Thornton." The air went cold. Silas smiled thin and sharp. "No," Marcus said slowly. "You're a guest. One who's here on my good graces. Perhaps you'd like to remember that." "Perhaps I would. But I'm still not fetching anyone." For a long moment nobody spoke. Then Jake's voice came from behind her. "Something you need, Marcus." Clara turned. Jake stood at the corner of the porch, one hand resting easy on his belt, close to his holster. She hadn't heard him approach. "Just introducing Silas," Marcus said. "He'll be taking over some of your duties." "That's so." "Don't worry, Calhoun. You're not being replaced. Just supplemented." Jake looked at Silas. Silas looked back. Something passed between them. Something Clara couldn't read. "We've met," Jake said finally. "Have you?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Dodge City, 3 years back." "Small world?" Silas's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Good to see you again, Jake." "Can't say the same." Marcus laughed, though nothing was funny. "Well, this should be interesting." Silas Dutch gets settled in the east bunkhouse. Jake a word. The two men rode off. Marcus stepped closer to Jake, lowering his voice. Clara pretended to go back to scrubbing, but she listened. "My father's getting worse. Doctor says he won't make it to spring." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you?" Marcus's tone sharpened. "Because when he dies, this ranch becomes mine. Entirely. And I intend to run it my way." "Your way. Modern. Efficient. No dead weight." Jake was quiet for a moment. "And Silas?" "Silas understands business. He knows how to get results. He knows how to hurt people." "Sometimes that's the same thing." Marcus mounted his horse. "Think about where your loyalties lie, Calhoun. The old ways are dying. Best not to die with them." He rode off. Jake stood there watching him go. Clara straightened up. "What happened in Dodge City?" Jake didn't answer. "Jake?" "Nothing good." He turned to face her. "Stay away from Silas. You and your kids. Understood?" "What did he do?" "Clara." His voice was harder than she'd ever heard it. "Stay away from him." He walked off before she could ask anything else. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She lay in the dark, listening to Lily's breathing, thinking about the way Silas had looked at her. Like she was something to be used. She'd seen that look before. After Samuel died, when the foreman at the mining company had offered her a way to keep the house. She'd said no. Lost everything. She'd say no again if she had to. Around midnight, she heard footsteps outside. Quiet. Careful. She slipped out of bed and peered through the frost-covered window. Silas and Dutch were walking toward the barn. Silas carried a lantern. Dutch carried something else. A rope. Clara's heart hammered. She should stay inside, mind her own business. She had her children to think about. But Jake was in the barn. She pulled on her boots and coat, easing the door open. The cold hit her like a fist. She moved toward the barn, staying in the shadows. Voices drifted out. Silas's voice. "Told you to stay out of my way." "And I told you I don't take orders from you." Jake's voice. Steady. "You did once." "That was before I knew what you were." A laugh. Cold and sharp. "What I am, I'm a businessman, Jake. Same as Marcus. Same as everyone who's gonna survive when the old man dies and this place changes hands." "It won't change that much." "Won't it?" Footsteps. "See, I've been talking to some folks in Cheyenne. Interesting things about the Thornton finances. Old man's been borrowing against the land for years. When he dies, those debts come due. Marcus knows. Marcus knows what I tell him. And I tell him this ranch needs to start turning a real profit. No more charity cases. No more dead weight." A pause. "No more widows with brats taking up beds." Clara's blood went cold. "They're not your concern," Jake said. "Everything on this ranch is my concern. Marcus made that clear." Another pause. "Pretty woman, though. Shame she's so proud. Might have found a use for her otherwise." Clara heard movement. A scuffle. Then Jake's voice tight with controlled fury. "You say that again, I'll kill you." "Easy, Calhoun. I'm just making conversation." "Conversation's over." Footsteps. Coming toward the door. Clara pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding. Silas emerged, first Dutch behind him. They didn't see her. They walked back toward the east bunkhouse, laughing about something she couldn't hear. Jake came out a moment later. He stopped when he saw her. "How much did you hear?" "Enough." He ran a hand over his face. "Clara." What did he mean about finding a use for me? Jake's jaw tightened. "Nothing." "That wasn't nothing." "It doesn't matter. I won't let him near you. You can't be everywhere." "Then I'll make sure someone is." He stepped closer. "Listen to me. Silas Crane is dangerous. He ran with a bad crew in Kansas. Did things I don't want to tell you about. The only reason he's not in prison is because the witnesses disappeared." Clara's stomach turned. "And Marcus hired him." "Marcus doesn't care what a man's done, only what he can do." "Then why are you still here? Why haven't you left?" Jake was quiet for a long moment. "Because someone has to protect the people who can't protect themselves." He said it simple, like it was obvious, like it was the only thing that mattered. Clara looked at him. At this man who'd found her dying in the snow and dragged her back to life, who worked from dawn to dusk and never complained, who stood between her and danger like it was his purpose on earth. "You're a good man, Jake Calhoun." "I'm a tired man." He almost smiled. "Get back inside. It's cold." She went. But she didn't sleep. The next morning, everything changed. Hank came running into the kitchen, face pale and streaked with tears. "Mama, Mama, come quick." Clara dropped the pot she was holding. "What is it? What's wrong?" "It's Lily. She's gone." The world stopped. "What do you mean gone?" "She was playing by the fence. I turned around for 1 second and she wasn't there anymore." Clara ran. She ran past the bunkhouse, past the barn, past the stables. She screamed Lily's name until her throat burned. "Lily, Lily, where are you?" "Nothing." Jake appeared beside her, already pulling on his coat. "Which way?" "I don't know. Hank said by the fence. I'll check the north pasture. You take the creek. Agnes, ring the bell. Get everyone looking." The ranch erupted into chaos. Men shouting. Horses saddling. Agnes's voice cutting through it all, barking orders like a general. Clara ran toward the creek. The snow was deep here, untouched. No footprints. "Lily." She pushed through a thicket of dead brush branches, scratching her face. The creek was frozen solid, a ribbon of white cutting through the trees. And there, on the other side, she saw movement. Lily was walking along the ice. Small. Alone. Heading toward a dark patch where the current ran fast and the ice grew thin. "Lily." "Stop." The little girl turned. "Mama." "Don't move, baby. Stay right there. Don't take another step." Clara started across the ice. It groaned under her weight. "Mama, I saw a bunny." "I know, sweetheart. I know. Just stay still." The ice cracked. Clara froze. Lily was only 10 feet away. 10 feet of ice that might not hold. "Mama." "It's okay, baby. Everything's okay." Clara's voice shook. "I'm going to come get you, but you have to be very, very still." She took a step. The ice groaned. Another step. A crack spread from her boot. "Clara, stop!" Jake's voice. Behind her. "I have to get her. The ice won't hold you both." He was moving toward the bank rope in hand. "I'm going to throw this to you. You loop it around yourself. If the ice breaks, I pull you out. And Lily." "I'll get Lily. Just trust me." Trust him. This man she'd known for 2 weeks. This man who'd saved her life and asked for nothing. Clara took the rope. She looped it around her waist, hands shaking. Jake braced himself on the bank, the other end wrapped around his arm. "Now," he said. "Slow. 1 step at a time." Clara moved. The ice cracked with every step. Lily started crying. "Mama, I'm scared." "I know, baby. I'm coming. Just a little further." 5 feet. 3 feet. Clara reached for her daughter. The ice gave way. She grabbed Lily as she fell, pulling the child tight against her chest. The water hit her like 1,000 knives, cold so sharp she couldn't breathe. Then the rope went taut. Jake pulled, hand over hand, muscles straining. He dragged them toward the bank. Clara's legs were numb. Her arms wouldn't work, but she held on to Lily. Held on like her life depended on it. Because it did. They hit solid ground. Jake was there immediately, wrapping them both in his coat, lifting them, carrying them toward the ranch. "Stay awake," he said. "Clara, stay awake. Lily. She's breathing. You both are. Just stay with me." The rest was a blur. Warm water. Dry clothes. Agnes's voice sharp with fear. Hank crying in the corner. Clara woke up in her bed, Lily pressed against her side, both of them wrapped in quilts. Jake sat in a chair by the door, watching. "You stayed," Clara whispered. "Said I would." "Lily." "Sleeping. She's fine. Cold but fine." He leaned forward. "You scared the hell out of me, Clara. I had to get her." "I know." His voice was rough. "I know you did." They sat in silence. Outside she could hear the wind picking up. Another storm coming. "Jake?" "Yeah." "Thank you." The words felt inadequate. Tiny. "For everything." He nodded slowly. "You'd have done the same." "Would I?" "You already did." He stood up. "Get some rest. I'll be outside if you need me." "You don't have to." "Yeah." He looked at her, and something in his eyes made her chest ache. "I do." He left. Clara pulled Lily closer, breathing in the smell of her hair. Alive. Warm. Safe. For now. But Silas's words echoed in her head. No more charity cases. No more dead weight. Spring was still 3 months away. Clara closed her eyes and prayed it would be enough. A week after the ice, Silas made his move. Clara was in the kitchen kneading bread when he walked in without knocking. "Mrs. Whitmore." She didn't stop working. "Mr. Crane?" "I've been watching you." Her hands stilled. "Is that so?" "You work hard. Harder than most." He moved closer. "It's admirable. I do what I need to do." "We all do." He leaned against the counter too close. "The question is, what you're willing to do." Clara looked at him. "Say what you mean." "All right." He smiled. "Marcus is going to sell this ranch, or lose it. Either way, it's changing hands within the year. The people who stay are the people who prove useful." "I am useful." "Cooking and cleaning." He laughed. "That's survival, not usefulness. I'm talking about something more." "What kind of something?" He reached out and touched her hair. "Just a brush. Just enough." "I could protect you," he said. "You and your children. Make sure you're taken care of when everything falls apart." Clara stepped back. "And what would you want in return?" "What do men always want?" She slapped him. The sound cracked through the kitchen like a gunshot. Silas's head snapped to the side. When he looked at her again, the smile was gone. "That," he said quietly, "was a mistake." "No, coming in here was a mistake." Clara's voice was steady, but her heart was racing. "Touch me again, and I'll tell Jake." "Jake." Silas laughed. "Jake's not going to be here much longer. Marcus is already looking for a replacement. Someone more cooperative." "Then I'll tell Marcus." "Tell him what? That I offered you protection, that I was concerned for a poor widow alone in the world." He straightened up. "Who do you think he'll believe?" Clara said nothing. Silas walked to the door. "Think about my offer, Mrs. Whitmore. It won't stay open forever." He left. Clara stood there shaking. The bread dough was ruined. She didn't care. She had to tell Jake. She found him in the barn, brushing down his horse. Silas just... I know. Jake's voice was flat. I saw him go in. Saw him come out. He turned to face her. What did he say? Clara told him. All of it. Jake's expression didn't change, but his hands tightened on the brush until his knuckles went white. I'll kill him. No. Clara. If you kill him, Marcus wins. You go to prison. Silas becomes a martyr, and I'm alone again. She stepped closer. I didn't survive this long to watch you throw your life away. So what do you want me to do? Stand by while he... I want you to help me fight smart. She grabbed his arm. You know this ranch. You know these people. There has to be something we can use. Something that proves what Silas really is. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then, there might be. What? 3 years ago in Dodge City, a woman died. They said it was an accident. But I was there. I saw what happened. What did you see? Enough to know it wasn't an accident. He set down the brush. The woman's sister is still alive. Lives in Laramie now. If I could find her, get her to talk, Silas would be finished. Maybe. Or maybe Marcus wouldn't care. Money tends to blind people to uncomfortable truths. Clara thought about that. Then we make sure he can't ignore it. How? I don't know yet. She met his eyes. But I'll figure it out. I always do. Jake studied her. That long, steady look that made her feel seen. Exposed. Safe. You're something else, Clara Whitmore. I'm a mother, she said. Mothers do what they have to. He almost smiled. Yeah, I'm starting to see that. That night, Clara sat by the fire watching Lily sleep. Hank was still awake, sitting on the floor with a piece of wood he was trying to carve. His father had taught him back when his father was alive. Mama. Yes, baby? Is Mr. Jake gonna be my pa? The question hit her like a punch. Why would you ask that? Because he looks at you like Pa used to. Hank didn't look up from his carving. And because Lily said his name yesterday. She called him Jake when he brought her back from the ice. Clara's throat tightened. She spoke to him. She said Jake and cold and don't let go. Hank paused. He didn't let go, Mama. Even when the ice broke. No, Clara whispered. He didn't. Hank finally looked at her. His father's eyes, his father's stubborn jaw. I wouldn't mind, he said quietly. If he was my pa, I wouldn't mind at all. Clara couldn't speak. She just pulled her son close and held him until his breathing slowed and sleep took him. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, Clara made a decision. She was done running, done surviving. It was time to fight. The storm hit 2 days later. Not the usual Wyoming snow, something worse. The kind of blizzard that buried cattle and killed men who strayed too far from shelter. Clara woke to screaming wind and a world gone white. Everyone stay inside. Jake ordered, his voice barely audible over the roar. Nobody goes out for any reason. But the cattle were scattered across the north pasture. Thousands of dollars worth of livestock freezing to death in the open. Marcus rode in from Cheyenne that afternoon, face red with fury. We have to save them. Get every man out there now. It's suicide, Jake said. We can't see 10 feet. We'll lose men. We'll lose everything if those cattle die. Marcus grabbed Jake's collar. I don't care what it takes. Get them back. Silas stepped forward. I'll go. Dutch and I know storms like this. We can handle it. Jake shook his head. Nobody can handle this. Then we die trying. Silas smiled that cold smile. Unless you want to explain to the bank why their collateral froze to death. Marcus looked at Jake. You're the foreman. Make a decision. Jake stood there. Clara watched him. The weight of it. The impossible choice. I'll go. he said finally. Me and 3 volunteers. Nobody else. I'll come, Silas said. No. Wasn't asking Calhoun. Silas grabbed his coat. Let's move. They rode out into the white. Clara watched from the window, heart in her throat. He'll come back, Agnes said beside her. Jake always comes back. You don't know that. I know him. Agnes put a hand on her shoulder. And I know he's got something to come back to now. Hours passed. The storm raged. No sign of the riders. Clara put the children to bed. She paced the kitchen. She prayed to a God she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. Near midnight, she heard horses. She ran outside without her coat. The cold hit her instantly, but she didn't care. Jake emerged from the white leading his horse. Dutch was behind him. 2 other men she didn't recognize. Silas wasn't with them. Where is he? She asked. Jake's face was gray with exhaustion. Lost him in the drift. Couldn't find him. Is he? Don't know. Couldn't see anything out there. He stumbled and Clara caught him. The cattle. We got most of them. Pushed them toward the south ravine. They should survive. I don't care about the cattle. Jake looked at her. Snow in his hair, ice on his beard, eyes red with cold. I came back, he said. You came back. Told you I would. Clara didn't think. She just wrapped her arms around him and held on. He held on too. The storm lasted 3 more days. When it finally broke, they found Silas. He was alive. Barely. Holed up in an abandoned line shack 2 miles from the ranch. Frostbite had taken 2 fingers on his left hand. But he was alive. And when he looked at Clara across the bunkhouse, his eyes promised that everything between them was far from over. Clara looked back. She wasn't afraid anymore. She had something worth fighting for now. And God help anyone who tried to take it away. Silas returned to the bunkhouse 3 days after they found him. His hand was wrapped in bandages, 2 fingers gone forever. But his eyes were the same, cold, calculating, fixed on Clara like she was something he meant to break. She didn't look away. Heard you were worried about me, he said, stopping her in the hallway. You heard wrong. That's so. He stepped closer. Jake told me you watched from the window. Every night, waiting. I was waiting for Jake. Something flickered in Silas's eyes. Anger. Maybe something worse. Jake. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think he can protect you? He couldn't even protect his own sister. Clara's blood went cold. What did you say? Ask him sometime. Ask him about Rebecca. Silas smiled. Ask him why he really stopped for you that day on the ridge. He walked away before she could respond. That night, Clara found Jake in the barn. He was sitting on a hay bale staring at nothing. Silas said something today. Jake didn't look up. He says a lot of things. He mentioned your sister, Rebecca. Jake's whole body went still. He said to ask you why you really stopped for me. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The wind outside had picked up again, rattling the barn doors. She was 12, Jake said finally. We were heading west from Virginia. Everything we had was gone. The war took it all. He paused. She got sick outside of Kansas. Fever. I couldn't find a doctor. Couldn't find anyone who'd help. Clara sat down beside him. Jake. She died in my arms. His voice cracked. I buried her by the road with nothing but a wooden cross to mark the spot. And I swore I'd never let that happen again. Not to anyone. So when you saw me, I saw her. He finally looked at Clara. A woman alone. Children who needed protecting. And I thought maybe this time I could do it right. Clara's heart ached. You have. Have I? He shook his head. Silas is still here. Marcus is still threatening to throw you out. And I can't. He stopped. I can't lose anyone else, Clara. I can't. She reached for his hand. He flinched, then let her take it. "You're not going to lose me. You can't promise that." "No," she said. "But I can promise I'll fight. For me. For my children." She squeezed his hand. "For you." Jake looked at her. Really looked. And something in his expression shifted. "Clara, don't." She shook her head. "Don't say anything you're not ready to say. We've got time." "Do we?" She didn't answer. She didn't know. But she held on to his hand, and he held on to hers, and for one moment, that was enough. The next morning, Marcus called a meeting. Everyone gathered in the main house. Ranch hands, Agnes, Clara, even the children standing quietly by the door. "My father died last night." The words hit like a physical blow. Agnes gasped. Several of the older hands removed their hats. "The funeral will be Saturday," Marcus continued. "After that, things are going to change." Jake stepped forward. "What kind of changes?" "Efficient ones." Marcus's voice was cold. "This ranch has been bleeding money for years. My father was too sentimental to make the hard choices. I'm not." "What hard choices?" Clara asked. Marcus looked at her. "Starting next month, anyone who isn't essential will be let go. We're cutting staff by half, maybe more." "Half?" Agnes's voice shook. "Some of these men have worked here for 20 years. Then they've had a good run." Marcus straightened his coat. "Silas will be handling the evaluations. He'll determine who stays and who goes." Clara's stomach dropped. She looked at Jake. His jaw was tight. "And the women?" she asked. "The children? That depends on their usefulness." Marcus smiled. "You've proven yourself capable, Mrs. Whitmore. I'm sure you'll be fine." He left before anyone could respond. The room erupted. Men shouting, Agnes crying, Hank tugging at Clara's sleeve asking what was happening. Clara pulled her son close and looked at Jake across the chaos. His eyes said everything. This was war. That afternoon, Clara did something she'd never done before. She broke into Marcus's office. Agnes had given her the key. The old woman kept copies of everything hidden in her flower bin for emergencies. "This is an emergency," Agnes had said. "Find something. Anything." Clara found more than she bargained for. The desk was covered in papers, ledgers, letters, contracts. She rifled through them, heart-pounding ears straining for footsteps. Then she saw it. A letter, dated 6 months ago, from the Consolidated Mining Company of Laramie, the company that had killed her husband. Her hands shook as she read. "Dear Mr. Thornton, regarding our mutual investment, the settlement with the Whitmore widow was handled. No further complications expected. Your continued partnership is appreciated." Clara read it again, and again. The Thorntons had been partners with the mining company. The company that had called Samuel's death an accident. The company that had refused to pay her a single cent. They had known. They had all known. "Find something interesting." Clara spun around. Marcus stood in the doorway. "You knew," she whispered. "You knew about my husband." Marcus closed the door behind him. "I know a lot of things, Mrs. Whitmore. You were partners with them, with the company that killed him. Business partners. There's a difference." He moved closer. "Your husband died because he was careless. That had nothing to do with me. They covered it up, and you helped them. I protected my investment." His voice hardened. "Something you'd understand if you had anything worth protecting." Clara's hand found the letter opener on his desk. "I have plenty worth protecting. Put that down." "Or what?" Marcus laughed. "You're going to stab me with my own letter opener, and then what, hang for murder while your children watch?" Clara's grip tightened. He was right. She knew he was right. But she couldn't let go. "Here's what's going to happen," Marcus said. "You're going to put that down. You're going to walk out of here, and you're going to forget everything you saw. And if I don't, then I'll tell the sheriff you attacked me. I'll have you arrested. Your children will go to the orphanage in Cheyenne." He smiled. "I hear it's quite unpleasant this time of year." Clara's hand shook. "Or," Marcus continued, "you can be smart. Stay quiet. Keep working. And when spring comes, you and your children can leave peacefully. No trouble, no consequences." "You want me to pretend I didn't see this?" "I want you to survive, like you've been doing." He stepped back. "The choice is yours." Clara set down the letter opener. Marcus nodded. "Smart woman." He opened the door and gestured for her to leave. She walked past him, head high, hands still trembling. "Mrs. Whitmore." She stopped. "If you tell anyone about this, anyone at all, I'll know, and the consequences will be severe." She didn't respond. She just kept walking. Clara told Jake that night. She told him everything. The letter, the partnership, the threat. When she finished, Jake was silent for a long time. "He's not going to let this go," he said finally. "I know. Even if you stay quiet, he knows you know. That makes you dangerous." "I know." Jake stood up and paced. "We need to leave. All of us. Tonight. And go where we have nothing. No money. No wagon. No, I have money." He stopped. "Not much, but enough. And I have land." Clara stared at him. "What?" "My grandfather's land, east of the river. I've been paying taxes on it for 10 years, waiting for—" He stopped. "I don't know what I was waiting for. But it's mine, free and clear." "Jake, it's not much. No house, no barn. But it's something." He turned to face her. "Come with me, Clara. You and the children. We'll build something new." "You're asking me to—" "I'm asking you to live." He crossed the room and took her hands. "I'm asking you to stop surviving and start living. With me." Clara's heart was pounding. "We barely know each other." "I know enough." His voice was rough. "I know you're the strongest woman I've ever met. I know you'd die for your children. I know you slapped Silas Crane across the face and didn't blink." He almost smiled. "What else do I need to know? That I'm scared. Good. So am I. That I don't know if I can love anyone again." "You don't have to. Not yet." He squeezed her hands. "Just give me a chance to earn it." Clara looked at him. This man who'd pulled her from the snow, who'd saved her daughter from the ice, who stood between her and danger like it was his calling. "All right," she whispered. "All right. All right, I'll come with you." Her voice broke. "But not tonight. We can't just disappear." "Why not?" "Because if we run, Marcus wins. He keeps his secrets, Silas keeps his power, and everyone here suffers." She pulled back. "I need to finish this first." "Finish it how?" "The woman in Laramie, Silas's victim's sister. You said she could testify." "Clara, if we can get her to talk, we can bring Silas down. And if Silas falls, Marcus loses his enforcer. Everything changes." Jake shook his head. "It's too dangerous." "Everything is dangerous." She met his eyes. "But I'm done running, Jake. I've been running since Samuel died. Running from town to town, from door to door, begging for scraps." Her voice hardened. "I'm done. I want to fight." Jake studied her for a long moment. Then something shifted in his expression. Pride, maybe, or fear, or both. "All right," he said. "Then we fight." The next week was the longest of Clara's life. Jake rode to Laramie. It took 3 days there, 3 days back. Every hour he was gone, Clara expected Marcus or Silas to make a move. But nothing happened. Marcus attended his father's funeral, shook hands, accepted condolences, played the grieving son so well that Clara almost believed it. Silas watched her, always watching. but he kept his distance. Agnes noticed. "Something's changed," the old woman said one evening. "You're different." "Am I? You're not afraid anymore?" Agnes studied her. "What happened?" Clara shook her head. "Nothing. Everything. I don't know." "You know." Agnes's voice softened. "It's Jake, isn't it?" Clara didn't answer. "I've known that man for 8 years." Agnes continued. "Never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you." "How does he look at me?" "Like you're the first thing he's seen in a long time worth staying for." Clara's eyes burned. "Agnes, don't waste it, girl." The old woman squeezed her hand. "Life's too short and love's too rare. Whatever you're planning, whatever trouble you're stirring up, don't forget what matters." "I won't. Promise me." Clara looked at her. At this woman who'd fed her children and given her shelter and never asked for anything in return. "I promise." Jake returned on a Sunday. He came in through the back door, snow in his hair, exhaustion in his eyes, but he was smiling. "I found her." Clara's heart leaped. "The sister? Her name is Martha Jennings. She's been waiting 3 years for someone to listen." He pulled a folded paper from his coat. She wrote it all down, names, dates, what she saw the night her sister died. "And she'll testify. She'll do more than that." Jake's smile widened. "She's already on her way to Cheyenne, talking to the territorial marshal." Clara grabbed the paper and read it. Her hands were shaking. It was all there. Every detail. Silas beating a woman named Ellen Jennings to death in a Dodge City boarding house. 2 witnesses who'd been paid to stay quiet. A sheriff who'd looked the other way. "This is enough," Clara whispered. "This is enough to destroy him. Maybe, if the law does its job. And if it doesn't," Jake's expression hardened, "then I'll do it myself." "No." Clara grabbed his arm. "No, Jake. We do this the right way. Legal, clean. Otherwise, we're no better than them." "Clara, promise me." He hesitated, then nodded. "I promise." They didn't have to wait long. 3 days later, the territorial marshal arrived. His name was Thomas Reed. Tall, gray-haired. A face like carved stone, and eyes that missed nothing. He brought 4 deputies. They rode in at noon, badges gleaming in the winter sun. Clara watched from the kitchen window as Marcus came out to greet them. "Can I help you, Marshal?" "Looking for a man named Silas Crane." Reed's voice carried across the yard. "We have a warrant for his arrest." Marcus's face went pale. "On what charges?" "Murder, conspiracy, witness intimidation." Reed smiled thin and cold. "Shall I continue?" "There must be some mistake." "No mistake." Reed held up the warrant. "Silas Crane is wanted for the killing of Ellen Jennings in Dodge City, Kansas. Her sister has provided sworn testimony. We have corroborating evidence. I want to speak to my lawyer." "You can speak to whoever you like, Mr. Thornton. But right now, I need Crane." Marcus turned toward the bunkhouse. Silas was standing in the doorway, his face unreadable. "Don't do anything stupid," Marcus called. Silas didn't respond. He just looked at Clara. She met his gaze. Then Silas ran. He bolted for the stables, moving faster than Clara would have thought possible. The deputies gave chase horses, thundering across the frozen ground. Jake was already moving. He grabbed a horse and swung into the saddle before Clara could stop him. "Jake, stay here." He rode after Silas, disappearing into the white. Clara ran to the porch. Hank was beside her, gripping her hand. "Is Mr. Jake gonna be okay?" "Yes, baby." Her voice shook. "He's going to be fine." But she didn't know. She couldn't know. An hour passed, then 2. The deputies returned without Silas, without Jake. Reed approached Clara, his face grim. "Mrs. Whitmore." "Yes." "Your man went after Crane into the canyon." He paused. We lost their trail. Storm's coming in. We can't search anymore tonight." Clara's heart stopped. "You're just leaving them out there." "We don't have a choice. We go in now, we lose men." "But Jake—" "I'm sorry, ma'am." Reed's voice softened. "If he's smart, he'll find shelter. We'll resume the search at first light." Clara wanted to scream, wanted to grab his coat and shake him until he agreed to keep looking. But she didn't. She just stood there watching the snow fall and prayed. That night the storm hit. Worst one yet. Wind so strong it bent the trees. Snow so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Clara sat by the window watching, waiting. The children were asleep. Agnes had tried to make her eat, but the food tasted like ash. All she could think about was Jake. Out there, alone, freezing. "You're going to wear a hole in that floor." Clara turned. Agnes stood behind her, wrapped in a quilt. "I can't sleep." "Neither can I." Agnes sat down beside her. "He survived worse, you know. Jake's tough." "So was Samuel, and he still died." "Samuel was unlucky. Jake's got something to live for." Agnes looked at her. "You, those children, a future." Clara's eyes burned. "I never should have gotten him involved." "You didn't. He chose this. Chose you." Agnes squeezed her hand. "That man would walk through fire for you, Clara. A little snow won't stop him." "What if it does?" "Then we grieve, and we keep going, like we always do." Clara wanted to believe her, wanted to have faith. But the wind kept howling, and the snow kept falling, and Jake was still out there. She stayed by the window all night. At dawn, the storm broke. Clara was already dressed when she heard the shout. "Ryder coming in." She ran outside. The sun was just clearing the ridge, turning the snow to gold. And there, moving slowly across the white, was a horse. One horse, one rider. Clara's heart stopped. Then she saw him, Jake, slumped in the saddle, covered in snow, but alive. She ran. She ran until her lungs burned, and her legs screamed, and she couldn't run anymore. Then she reached up and pulled him down from the horse. He was ice cold. His lips were blue, but he was breathing. "Clara." His voice was barely a whisper. "I'm here. I'm right here." "Silas. He's—" Jake coughed. "He's dead. Went through the ice. I couldn't—" "Shh, don't talk." "Clara." His hand found hers weak but warm. "I came back." Tears streamed down her face. "You came back." "Told you." He tried to smile. "Always come back." Then his eyes closed and Clara screamed for help. They brought him inside, stripped off his frozen clothes, wrapped him in blankets by the fire. Agnes worked over him for hours. Hot water, warm broth, constant vigilance. Clara never left his side. Near nightfall, Jake opened his eyes. "Clara." She grabbed his hand. "I'm here." "The children." "Fine. They're fine. Everyone's fine." He let out a breath. "Good. You almost died." "I know. You promised you wouldn't do anything stupid." "Did I?" He almost smiled. "Must have forgot." Clara wanted to slap him, wanted to kiss him, wanted to do both at the same time. Instead, she just held his hand and cried. "Hey." Jake's voice was soft. "Hey, it's okay." "It's not okay. I thought I lost you." "You didn't." "But I could have. I could have lost everything." Jake reached up and touched her face. His fingers were still cold. "Clara, listen to me." She looked at him. "You're not going to lose me. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever." His voice was stronger now. "I made you a promise. I'm going to keep it." "What promise?" "To earn it." He met her eyes. "Your love, your trust, whatever it takes, however long it takes. I'm not going anywhere." Clara's heart broke open. All the walls she'd built, all the fear she'd carried, it crumbled away like snow in spring. You already have, she whispered. Have what Mo earned it. She leaned down and pressed her forehead to his. You earned it the day you stopped for me on that ridge. Jake's breath caught. Clara. I love you, Jake Calhoun. The words came out fierce, raw, true. I love you, and I'm done pretending I don't. For a moment he just stared at her. Then he pulled her close and kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't careful. It was desperate and hungry, and everything Clara had been afraid to want. When they finally broke apart, Jake was smiling. I love you too, he said, in case that wasn't clear. Clara laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months. It was clear. Good. He pulled her down beside him. Now stay here. I'm not letting go. She didn't want him to. Outside the sun was setting. The snow was turning pink and gold. And somewhere in that light, Clara saw something she hadn't seen in a long time. A future. Jake healed slower than he wanted. 2 weeks in bed. 2 weeks of Clara forcing soup down his throat, and Agnes changing his bandages and the children tiptoeing around like he might break. I'm fine, he said for the 100th time. You're not fine. Clara pressed him back against the pillows. You nearly froze to death. Nearly don't count. It counts to me. Jake looked at her. At this woman who'd cried over him, kissed him, told him she loved him in the same breath. He still couldn't quite believe it. You're stubborn, he said. So are you. Reckon we're a matched pair then. Clara almost smiled. Reckon we are. She leaned down and kissed him. Soft, quick, like she was still getting used to the idea. Jake wasn't. He'd been waiting for her his whole life. He just hadn't known it until she fell into his arms, half frozen on that ridge. When I'm up, he said, we need to talk. About what? The future. Clara's expression flickered. Jake. Not now. When I'm up. He squeezed her hand. Just promise me you'll listen. I always listen. You listen, you don't always agree. She laughed. Fair enough. A knock at the door interrupted them. Agnes poked her head in. Marshal Reed's back. Wants to talk to both of you. Clara straightened up. Tell him I'll be right there. He said both of you. Jake pushed himself up. Clara tried to stop him. You're not well enough. I'm well enough to talk. He swung his legs over the side of the bed. Help me up. She did muttering curses under her breath the whole time. Marshal Reed was waiting in the kitchen. His face was grave. Mr. Calhoun, Mrs. Whitmore. Marshal. Jake lowered himself into a chair, trying not to wince. What can we do for you? I came to give you an update. And a warning. What kind of warning? Reed glanced at Clara. Silas Crane's body was recovered yesterday. The territorial court ruled it accidental death. Officially, the case is closed. And unofficially Marcus Thornton has been making noise. Lots of it. Reed paused. He's claiming you murdered Crane. Says you chased him onto that ice deliberately. Clara's hand flew to her mouth. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous or not, he's got lawyers. And lawyers can make noise too. Jake's jaw tightened. What's he want? What do you think he wants you gone? Both of you. Reed met Jake's eyes. He's also claiming Mrs. Whitmore stole documents from his office, property of the Thornton estate. I didn't steal anything. Doesn't matter what you did. Matters what he can prove. Reed stood up. I'm not here to arrest anyone, not today. But I wanted you to know what's coming. And what is coming? A fight. Reed headed for the door. If I were you, I'd start thinking about alternatives. This ranch won't be safe for much longer. He left. Clara sank into a chair. Her face was pale. He's not going to stop, she said. Marcus, he's never going to stop. No, he's not. So what do we do? Jake reached for her hand. We leave. And go where? I told you, my grandfather's land, east of the river. Jake, we can't just... We can. His grip tightened. Clara, listen to me. I've got nothing holding me here. No family, no ties. The only thing I care about on this ranch is you. And Agnes? And the hands who've worked here for years. They'll survive. They always have. He pulled her closer. But you won't. Not if Marcus gets his way. Clara's eyes were wet. I can't ask you to give up everything. You're not asking. I'm offering. He touched her face. Clara, I've been alone for 15 years. Riding from place to place, never staying, never building anything. I'm tired of it. I want something real. And you think I'm real? I think you're the realest thing I've ever known. She stared at him. Then she laughed a broken sound. You're terrible at speeches. I know. But I love you anyway. I know that too. She kissed him. Harder this time, like she meant it. When they broke apart, she was crying. All right, she said. Let's go. Leaving wasn't simple. Jake needed another week to recover. Clara needed time to gather their few possessions. And Marcus was watching. Always watching. He's got men posted on the roads, Agnes reported one morning. Anyone who leaves, he knows about it. Then we don't use the roads. And go where? Through the canyons in this weather. If we have to. Agnes shook her head. You're both crazy. Probably. Clara tied another bundle. But crazy's kept me alive this long. Hank found her that afternoon. He'd been quiet since the storm. Quieter than usual. Mama. Yes, baby. Are we really leaving? Yes. Is Mr. Jake coming with us? Yes. Hank was quiet for a moment. Then, good. Clara stopped packing. Good? I like him. Hank shrugged. He taught me how to saddle a horse, and he doesn't yell when I do things wrong. Clara's heart ached. Your father never yelled either. I know, but Pa's gone. Hank looked at her, his father's eyes in his small face. Mr. Jake's here. Clara pulled him close. You're right, baby. He is. That night, Marcus made his move. Clara was in the kitchen when she heard the door slam open. Heavy footsteps. Men's voices. She grabbed the children and pushed them behind her. Marcus strode in, flanked by two men she didn't recognize. Big men. Armed. Mrs. Whitmore. Mr. Thornton. I hear you're planning to leave. Clara said nothing. That would be a mistake. Marcus moved closer. You see, I've been thinking about those documents you took from my office, the ones that connect me to the mining company. I didn't take anything. Didn't you? He smiled. Because I've got witnesses who say otherwise. Witnesses who will testify that you broke into my office, stole confidential documents, and used them to blackmail me. That's a lie. Truth and lies. They're such flexible things. Marcus pulled a paper from his coat. This is a warrant for your arrest, theft, blackmail, conspiracy. Clara's blood went cold. You can't do this. I can do whatever I want. This is my ranch, my town, my territory. He stepped closer. But I'm a reasonable man. I'm willing to make a deal. What kind of deal? You stay. Work for me. Be useful. His eyes traveled over her in a way that made her skin crawl. And I'll forget about the warrant. And if I refuse, then you go to prison. Your children go to the orphanage. He shrugged. Simple as that. Clara's hands were shaking. Behind her, Lily whimpered. You're a monster. I'm a businessman. Marcus smiled. So what do you say? Mrs. Whitmore, do we have a deal? She doesn't make deals with snakes. Jake's voice came from the doorway. He was leaning against the frame, one hand on his gun. Marcus turned. Calhoun, you're supposed to be in bed. I'm supposed to be a lot of things. Jake straightened up, slowly. Step away from her. Or what? Or I'll make you. The two big men moved forward. Jake didn't flinch. You're outnumbered, Marcus said. I've been outnumbered before. And you're injured. I've been injured before too. Jake's hand tightened on his gun. But I've never missed at this range. You want to test that? For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Marcus laughed. You know what, fine. He stepped back. I'm a patient man. I can wait. Wait for what? For you to make a mistake. Marcus headed for the door. They always do. He left. His men followed. Jake crossed the room and pulled Clara into his arms. You okay? No. Her voice was muffled against his chest. Jake, he has a warrant. He can arrest me. Let him try. He'll take my children. I won't let that happen. Clara pulled back. You can't stop him. Not here. Not while we're on his land. Jake's jaw tightened. Then we leave. Tonight. He has men on the roads. I know another way, through the canyon. It's dangerous, but it's passable. In the dark. We don't have a choice. He cupped her face. Clara, do you trust me? She looked at him. At this man who'd saved her life again and again. Who'd promised to earn her love, and already had. Yes. Then pack what you can carry. We leave in an hour. They left at midnight. Jake led them through the back of the property, past the stables, into the hills. Clara carried Lily. Hank walked beside her, his hand in hers. The canyon was narrow and dark. The horses picked their way carefully over the rocks. How far? Clara whispered. 3 miles, maybe 4. And then we're on open land. No one owns it. No one can touch us. They moved in silence. Every sound made Clara flinch. Every shadow looked like a man with a gun. An hour passed. Then 2. Then Hank stopped. Mama, I hear something. Clara listened. At first nothing, then hoofbeats, coming fast. Jake. I hear it. He grabbed her arm. Go, take the children. Follow the canyon until you reach the river. I'll meet you there. I'm not leaving you. Clara, I said no. Her voice was fierce. We do this together or we don't do it at all. Jake looked at her. For a moment she thought he'd argue. Then he nodded. Together then. The riders caught up to them at the mouth of the canyon. 3 men. Marcus wasn't with them, but Dutch was, Silas's old partner, the one who'd survived. End of the road, Calhoun. Jake positioned himself between the men and Clara. Turn around. Walk away. Can't do that, Dutch smiled. Mr. Thornton's orders. Thornton can go to hell. Maybe, but you're going first. Dutch drew his gun. Jake was faster. The shot echoed through the canyon. Dutch went down clutching his shoulder. The other 2 men scattered. One fired back wild and panicked. The bullet hit rock somewhere behind Clara. Run! Jake shouted. Now! Clara grabbed Hank and ran. Lily bounced against her chest, crying. More shots. Clara didn't look back. She ran until her lungs burned, until her legs screamed, until she couldn't run anymore. Then she stopped. The river was in front of her, silver in the moonlight. Beautiful. She turned around. Jake was behind her, running, bleeding from somewhere she couldn't see. Jake! He reached her and nearly collapsed. She caught him. I'm fine. Just a graze. You're bleeding. I said I'm fine. He grabbed her face. Are you hurt? The children? No. We're okay. Good. He let out a breath. Good. Behind them, the canyon was silent. The shooting had stopped. Is it over? Clara whispered. For now. Jake looked across the river. We need to keep moving. Get to the other side. Can you make it? I'll make it. He took her hand. I've got something to live for, remember. They crossed the river at dawn. The water was cold, ice cold. Clara gasped as it rose to her waist, clutching Lily above the surface. Hank was on Jake's back, arms wrapped around his neck. Almost there, Jake said. Just a little further. They made it, collapsed on the far bank, wet and freezing and alive. Clara lay there staring at the sky. It was pink and gold and endless. "We did it," she breathed. "We did it." She turned her head. Jake was beside her, Hank still clinging to him like a burr. "What now?" "Now we rest." He closed his eyes. "Then we build." "Build what?" "Everything." They found Jake's land that afternoon. It wasn't much. A clearing by the river, wild grass and bare trees, and a spring that bubbled up from the rocks. But it was theirs. "This is it?" Hank asked, looking around. "This is it." Jake knelt beside him. "What do you think?" "There's nothing here." "Not yet." Jake smiled. "But there will be." Clara stood at the edge of the clearing, Lily on her hip. She looked at the land, at the man beside her, at her children alive and whole despite everything. "It's perfect," she said. Jake looked at her. "Perfect's a strong word." "I know." She met his eyes. "I meant it." That night they camped under the stars. The children fell asleep quickly, exhausted from the journey. Clara sat by the fire watching the flames dance. Jake sat beside her. "There's something I need to ask you," he said. "What?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small piece of paper, folded, worn. "This is the deed to my grandfather's land. Everything I own in the world." He held it out to her. "I want you to have it." Clara stared at him. "Jake, let me finish." He took a breath. "I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. I know you've been married before. I know you lost someone. I'm not trying to replace him." "Then what are you asking?" "I'm asking you to be my partner." He met her eyes. "In everything. This land. This life. Whatever comes next. A partner. Equal. Always." He pressed the deed into her hands. "Your name goes on this paper. Not mine. Yours. Because if something happens to me, I want you protected. I want your children protected." Clara's hands were shaking. "Why would you do this?" "Because I love you." His voice was rough. "Because I've spent 15 years with nothing to lose. And now I have everything to lose. You, Hank, Lily. I can't—" He stopped. "I can't go back to who I was before. I won't." Clara looked at the paper in her hands. A piece of land. A piece of future. Everything she'd lost and everything she'd been afraid to want. "Yes," she said. "Yes. Yes, I'll be your partner." She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "In everything. For as long as you'll have me." Jake pulled her close, held her tight. "Forever," he whispered. "I'll have you forever." The next morning, Clara woke to the sound of hammering. She sat up confused. Jake was gone. The children were still asleep. She wrapped herself in a blanket and walked toward the sound. Jake was on the far side of the clearing, driving posts into the ground. Fence posts. "What are you doing?" He looked up. "Building." "Building what?" "A fence." He drove another nail. Then a foundation, then walls, then a roof. He smiled. Then a home. Clara walked toward him. "You didn't sleep." "Couldn't." He set down the hammer. "Too much to do." "Jake." She touched his face. "You were shot yesterday." "Grazed." "You nearly drowned crossing the river." "Nearly doesn't count." "You're impossible." "So are you." He kissed her forehead. "That's why we work." Clara laughed. She couldn't help it. "All right," she said. "Tell me what to do." They worked all day. Jake built the fence while Clara cleared brush. Hank hauled water from the spring. Even Lily helped collecting rocks and stacking them in wobbly piles. By sunset, they had the outline of something. Not a house yet, not even close, but a beginning. Look, Mama. Hank pointed at his pile of rocks. I made a wall. Clara knelt beside him. You did. It's a good wall. Mr. Jake said I'm a natural builder. Did he? He said maybe I could help him with the real walls. When we're ready. Clara looked at Jake. He was watching them, something soft in his expression. I think that's a fine idea, she said. That night they sat around the fire again. Hank was telling Lily a story. Something about cowboys and dragons that made no sense but made her laugh. Clara leaned against Jake, her head on his shoulder. Thank you, she said. For what? For this. All of it. She looked up at him. I was ready to give up. That day you found me. I was ready to let the cold take me. I know. You saved my life. You saved mine too. He pulled her closer. I was just surviving before, going through the motions. You reminded me what it was like to feel something. Something. Everything. He kissed her hair. I feel everything with you. Clara closed her eyes. The fire crackled. Her children laughed. And for the first time in years, she felt safe. Jake. Yeah. When we build the house, can we put in a big window facing east? Why east? So I can watch the sunrise. She smiled. Every morning. For the rest of my life. Jake was quiet for a moment. Then, we'll put in 2 windows. One for each of us. Why would you need one? So I can watch you watching the sunrise. He kissed her again. Seems like a good way to start the day. Clara laughed. You're ridiculous. Probably. I love you. I know. He pulled her closer. I love you too. The fire burned low. The stars came out. And somewhere in the darkness, a coyote howled. But Clara wasn't afraid anymore. She was home. A week later, they had visitors. Clara heard them coming before she saw them. Horses, wagons, voices. She grabbed Hank and pulled him behind her. Jake! He was already there, gun drawn. Stay behind me. The visitors emerged from the trees. Not Marcus's men, not the law. It was Agnes, and behind her a wagon full of supplies. Tools, food, blankets. Agnes! Clara ran toward her. What are you doing here? What's it look like? Agnes climbed down from the wagon. You didn't think I'd let you build a house without proper equipment, did you? But Marcus can rot. Agnes's eyes were fierce. Half the hands quit after you left. The good half. They're setting up homesteads of their own. She gestured at the wagon. This is from all of us. Consider it a housewarming gift. Clara's eyes burned. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just help me unload. They unloaded the wagon together. Jake shook hands with the men who'd come along. Old Tom. A few others Clara recognized from the bunkhouse. You really quit? Jake asked. Wasn't hard. Old Tom spat in the dirt. Thornton's finished anyway. Bank's coming for the ranch next month. Everything he did, all those schemes for nothing. The bank. Turns out Silas wasn't just mean. He was stupid. Old Tom grinned. Cooked the books so bad even the territorial auditors noticed. Marcus is facing charges of his own now. Clara looked at Jake. He was smiling. Justice? He said. Something like that. Old Tom clapped him on the shoulder. Now show us where you want this lumber. We've got a house to build. They built the house in 3 weeks. 20 men working from dawn to dusk. Clara cooked for all of them. Agnes bossed everyone around. The children ran wild, getting in the way and loving every minute of it. The walls went up first. Then the roof. Then the windows, 2 of them facing east, just like Jake had promised. On the last day, they raised the door. Clara stood in front of it, Lily on her hip, Hank beside her. Go on, Jake said. Open it. She pushed the door open. Inside was a single room. Rough floors. Bare walls. Nothing fancy. But it was hers. Theirs. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's not finished," Jake said. "We still need furniture. Curtains. A proper stove. It's beautiful." He smiled. "If you say so." Clara walked inside, ran her hand along the walls, felt the grain of the wood beneath her fingers. "Samuel would have loved this," she said quietly. Jake was behind her. Would he? He always dreamed of building something. Something real. Something that would last. She turned to face him. He never got the chance. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." She took his hand. "He's gone. But you're here. And I'm grateful." Jake pulled her close. "I'll never try to replace him." "I know." She looked up at him. "But you don't have to. You're not a replacement, Jake. You're something new." Something new. A second chance. She smiled. For both of us. That night they slept in their house for the first time. The children were in the loft Jake had built just for them. Clara and Jake lay on a mattress stuffed with fresh hay looking up at the ceiling. "We did it," Clara said. "We did it. I can't believe it's real." "It's real." Jake rolled onto his side facing her. "All of it. The house, the land, you. Me. Especially you." He touched her face. "I keep waiting to wake up." "Don't." She kissed him. "Stay here. With me. Always." Outside, the wind blew soft and warm. Spring was coming. Clara could feel it in her bones. "Jake." "Yeah. When spring comes, I want to plant a garden." "All right. And I want to teach Hank how to read properly. He's been struggling." "We can do that. And I want—" She stopped, took a breath. "I want to marry you." Jake went still. "What?" "I want to marry you." She looked at him. "Not because I need to. Not because I have to. Because I want to. Because I love you. Because I can't imagine my life without you in it." Jake stared at her. For a long moment he didn't speak. Then he kissed her, hard, deep, like he was trying to pour everything he felt into that one moment. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "Is that a yes?" Clara asked. "That's a yes." His voice was rough. "That's the most yes I've ever given anyone." Clara laughed, cried, did both at the same time. "Good," she managed. "Because I wasn't asking. You never do. I'm learning." He pulled her close, and she buried her face in his chest. "I love you, Clara Whitmore." "I love you too, Jake Calhoun." Outside an owl called. The wind whispered through the trees, and somewhere in the darkness, spring crept closer. Tomorrow would bring work, challenges, a whole new life to build. But tonight, Clara had everything she needed. A home, a family, a man who loved her. And finally, after all this time, peace. Spring came like a promise kept. Clara woke to birdsong and warm air, and the smell of coffee already brewing. She stretched, feeling the ache in her muscles from yesterday's planting. Good pain. Honest pain. Jake's side of the bed was empty, already up. Always up before her. She found him outside hammering at something she couldn't quite see. "What are you building now?" He looked up, smiled. That smile she'd fallen in love with, the one that barely showed but meant everything. "A surprise." "I don't like surprises." "You'll like this one." She walked toward him, but he held up a hand. "Not yet. It's not finished. Jake Calhoun, if you don't tell me. Tonight." He kissed her forehead. "You'll see tonight." She wanted to argue. She always wanted to argue. But she trusted him now. Trusted him with everything. "Fine, but it better be good." "It will be." That afternoon, Reverend Goodwin arrived. Clara saw him coming from a mile away. A circuit preacher on a tired mule Bible tucked under one arm. "Mrs. Whitmore?" He tipped his hat. Or should I say, Mrs. Whitmore, soon to be Calhoun. Reverend. Clara wiped her hands on her apron. "Jake said you were coming next month." "Changed my schedule." He dismounted with a grunt. "Heard there was a wedding to perform." "There will be, eventually." "Eventually?" He raised an eyebrow. "That's not what I heard." Before Clara could respond, Agnes appeared from inside the house. "About time you got here. We've got work to do." "Agnes!" Clara stared at her. "What are you doing here? What's it look like?" The old woman started directing the Reverend toward the barn. "We're throwing you a wedding." "But I haven't planned anything." "You don't need to plan, you just need to show up." Agnes stopped and turned. "Unless you've changed your mind." Clara's heart was pounding. No, I haven't changed my mind." "Good. Then put on something clean and meet us by the river in 2 hours." 2 hours. Did I stutter? Agnes disappeared with the Reverend. Clara stood there stunned. "Mama!" Hank appeared at her side. "What's happening?" "I think..." Clara swallowed. "I think I'm getting married. Today." "Today." Hank was quiet for a moment. Then, "Does that mean Mr. Jake's gonna be my pa for real?" Clara knelt beside him. "Would that be okay with you?" "I already told you, I wouldn't mind." He shuffled his feet. "I like him. He's nice to Lily. And he doesn't make you cry like you used to." Clara's eyes burned. "No, baby, he doesn't." "Then it's okay." Hank looked up at her. "Pa would want you to be happy. He told me once before he died. He said if anything happened to him, I should make sure you smiled again." Clara pulled her son close. "When did you get so wise?" "I'm 8. I know things." She laughed through her tears. "Yes, you do." 2 hours later, Clara walked toward the river. She was wearing a dress Agnes had brought. White cotton with blue flowers. Nothing fancy, but clean, and soft, and hers. The whole community was there. Old Tom. The ranch hands who'd quit with Agnes. Families from homesteads Clara had never even met. And Jake. He stood by the water, Reverend Goodwin beside him. He was wearing a clean shirt and his best boots and that half smile that made her heart stop. "You look beautiful," he said when she reached him. "You look terrified." "I am terrified." He took her hands. "But not of marrying you." "Then what?" "Of how much I love you." His voice cracked. "Of how much I have to lose now." Clara squeezed his hands. "You're not going to lose me." "Promise." "Promise." Reverend Goodwin cleared his throat. "Shall we begin?" The ceremony was simple. A few words about love and commitment. A few verses from the Bible. Nothing fancy, nothing long. But when the Reverend asked if Jake would take Clara as his wife, Jake didn't just say yes. He said, "Every day, for the rest of my life, through storms and droughts and anything else that comes. Yes, always yes." And when Clara was asked the same question, she said, "I spent a year thinking my life was over, that I had nothing left to give. Then you found me in the snow and proved me wrong." Her voice broke. "So yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I'll build this life with you. Yes to everything." The Reverend smiled. "Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife." He looked at Jake. "You may kiss your bride." Jake kissed her. Not soft, not careful. He kissed her like she was the only thing keeping him alive. The crowd cheered. Agnes wiped her eyes. Hank and Lily clapped and laughed. And Clara Whitmore became Clara Calhoun. The celebration lasted until sunset. Food and music and laughter. People Clara barely knew hugging her and wishing her well. Children running everywhere, Hank and Lily among them. It was more than she'd ever had, more than she'd ever dreamed. "You did this," she said to Jake when they finally had a moment alone. All of it. I had help. This was your surprise, the one you were building this morning. Jake smiled. That was something else. What? Come with me. He led her away from the party toward the hill behind their house. The sun was setting, turning everything gold and red and pink. At the top of the hill stood a wooden arch, simple but beautiful, wrapped in wildflowers. What is this? I wanted to build you something. Jake stopped in front of the arch. Something that was just ours. Something to mark the beginning. Clara walked toward it, touched the wood, felt the smoothness under her fingers. It's perfect. There's more. Jake reached into his pocket and pulled out a small wooden box. This was my mother's. Her mother gave it to her on her wedding day. She gave it to me before she died. Said I'd know when the time was right. He opened the box. Inside was a ring. Simple gold band with a small blue stone. Jake. I know I already gave you the land, but I wanted you to have this too. He took out the ring. Something to wear. Something to remind you. Remind me of what? That you're not alone anymore. He slid the ring onto her finger. That I'm here. That I'll always be here. Clara looked at the ring, at the arch, at the man standing before her. I don't deserve this. Yes, you do. Jake cupped her face. Clara, you've been carrying weight since long before I met you. You carried your children across half of Wyoming. You survived things that would have broken most people. You deserve every good thing that comes your way. And if good things stop coming, then we'll face the bad things together. He kissed her forehead. That's what this means. The ring, the marriage, the life we're building. It means I carry your burdens now, and you carry mine. Clara closed her eyes. Let the words sink in. She'd been so afraid, for so long. Afraid of needing someone, afraid of losing someone, afraid of letting herself want anything, because wanting led to loss, and loss led to pain. But standing here with Jake's ring on her finger, and his arms around her, she wasn't afraid anymore. She was home. 3 days after the wedding, Hank asked the question. They were in the barn, Jake teaching him how to mend a saddle. Clara was watching from the doorway, Lily on her hip. Mr. Jake. Yeah. Since you married Mama. Hank paused, focused on the leather in his hands. Does that make you my pa now? For real? Jake set down his tools. What do you want it to make me? I don't know. I mean, I had a pa, and he was good, real good. Hank's voice wobbled. But he's gone, and you're here. I am. So? Hank looked up. Can I call you Pa sometimes if I want to? Clara's heart stopped. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled Hank into his arms. You can call me whatever you want, son. Pa. Jake. Anything. His voice was rough. I'm not trying to replace your father, but I'd be honored to be whatever you need me to be. Hank hugged him back. Tight. Fierce. Okay, Pa. Clara pressed her hand to her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. Jake looked at her over Hank's head. His eyes were wet too. Thank you, she mouthed. He nodded. Once. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. And maybe it was. Later that night, after the children were asleep, Clara sat by the fire with Jake. You didn't have to do that, she said. With Hank. I know. He loved his father. I know that too. And you're okay with that, with being second. Jake took her hand. I'm not trying to be first. I'm trying to be present. He rubbed his thumb across her knuckles. Samuel was his father. That'll never change. But Hank needs someone to teach him, to guide him, to be there when things get hard. And that's you. If he'll let me. Jake looked at her. If you'll let me. Clara leaned against him. I already let you. The day I took your hand in the snow. That was survival. No. She shook her head. That was trust. I just didn't know it yet. They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled. Outside, an owl called. Jake. Yeah. I'm pregnant. The words fell out before she could stop them. She'd been carrying them for a week, afraid to speak them, afraid of what they meant. Jake went completely still. What? I'm pregnant. She pulled back to look at him. I wasn't sure until yesterday. Agnes confirmed it. A baby. Our baby. Her voice shook. I know we didn't plan it. I know it's soon. But... Jake kissed her. Hard. Deep. Like he was trying to say everything words couldn't. When he pulled back, he was crying. A baby, he whispered. Clara, we're having a baby. You're not upset. Upset. He laughed, a broken sound. Clara, I've wanted a family my whole life. Ever since Rebecca died, I told myself I didn't deserve one, that I'd lost my chance. And now I have everything. He pressed his forehead to hers. A wife, children, a home, and now, a baby of our own. Clara's eyes overflowed. I was afraid to tell you. Why? Because the last time... She stopped, took a breath. After Samuel died, I found out I was pregnant. A few weeks later, I lost the baby. The stress, the traveling, the starvation. My body couldn't... Jake pulled her close. You don't have to explain. I was terrified it would happen again. That I'd lose this one too. That I'd lose everything again. You won't. You can't know that. No. He cupped her face. But I can promise you won't face it alone. Whatever happens, whatever comes, I'm here. Clara cried then. Really cried. All the fear and pain and hope she'd been holding back. Jake held her through all of it. We're going to be okay, he whispered. All of us, I promise. And for the first time, Clara believed him. 2 months later, Marcus Thornton came. Clara was in the garden when she saw him riding up, alone. No men, no guns. She stood slowly, hand going to her belly. The baby was showing now. Just barely. Jake! He came running from the barn. Saw Marcus. His whole body tensed. Stay back, he told Clara. I'm not hiding. Clara. I'm not hiding from him. Not anymore. Jake looked at her. Saw the steel in her eyes. Nodded. They walked to meet Marcus together. He looked different. Thinner. Older. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like defeat. Calhoun. Mrs. Calhoun. Thornton. Jake's voice was flat. What do you want? I came to apologize. Clara laughed. She couldn't help it. Apologize, she repeated. For what? Threatening to take my children, trying to have me arrested, sending men to kill us. For all of it. Marcus dismounted. His movements were slow, careful. The bank took the ranch. The territorial court took what the bank didn't. I've got nothing left. And that's supposed to make us feel sorry for you. No. It's supposed to make you understand. He looked at Clara. I spent my whole life believing that power came from taking, from controlling, from making people afraid. He paused. I was wrong. That's convenient. Now that you've lost everything. It's the truth, whether you believe it or not. Marcus reached into his coat. Jake's hand went to his gun. Easy. It's just paper. He pulled out a document, held it out to Clara. What is this? A confession. Everything I did. The partnership with the mining company. The cover-up of your husband's death. The threats. All of it. Clara stared at him. Why? Because I'm dying. Marcus's voice was quiet. The doctors say I've got 6 months, maybe less, and I'd rather face God with a clean conscience than carry this weight any further. You expect me to forgive you? No. I expect you to hate me for the rest of your life. That's what I deserve. He pressed the document into her hands. But I wanted you to have proof, real proof, so that when I'm gone, no one can pretend it didn't happen. Your husband didn't die because he was careless. He died because we cut corners to save money, and I helped cover it up. Clara's hands were shaking. Get off our land. Clara. I said get off. Her voice cracked. I don't forgive you. I will never forgive you. But I believe you're dying, and I hope it hurts. Marcus nodded, like he'd expected nothing less. For what it's worth, he said quietly. I'm glad you made it, you and your children. You deserved better than what I gave you. He mounted his horse, looked at them one last time. Build something good here, something that lasts. The world needs more of that. Then he rode away. Clara stood there clutching the confession, watching him disappear. Clara. Jake's voice was gentle. You okay? No. She looked at him. But I will be. What do you want to do with that? Clara looked at the paper in her hands. Proof. Evidence. Justice. I want to burn it. What? I want to burn it. She met his eyes. Samuel's dead. Nothing in this paper brings him back. And if I spend the rest of my life chasing justice for a dead man, I'll miss the life I'm supposed to be living. Are you sure? No. She walked toward the fire pit. But I'm doing it anyway. She dropped the paper into the flames, watched it curl and blacken and turn to ash. Goodbye, Samuel, she whispered. I loved you. I'll always love you. But I have to let you go now. Jake came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her. You're the bravest person I know, he said. I'm not brave. I'm tired. She leaned into him, tired of carrying weight that isn't mine to carry. Then put it down. I'm trying. I know. He kissed her hair. And I'm proud of you. They stood there until the fire burned out. 6 months later, the baby came. It was a hard birth. 14 hours of labor. Clara screaming and crying and cursing Jake's name. But Agnes was there, and Jake was there. And when the sun rose on that March morning, Clara held her daughter in her arms. She's beautiful, Jake whispered. He was crying again. He'd cried more in the past year than in his whole life. She has your eyes. She has your stubbornness. I can tell. Clara laughed weakly. What do we name her? Jake was quiet for a moment. Rebecca. Clara looked at him. Your sister. If that's okay, I want her to live again, in some way. Rebecca Calhoun. Clara looked at the baby, at her tiny fingers and her scrunched-up face. It's perfect. Hank and Lily came in, then eyes wide. Is that the baby? Hank asked. This is your sister, Rebecca. Lily reached out one small hand. Baby. Clara's heart swelled. That's right, baby. Baby Rebecca. Hank studied his new sister with serious eyes. She's really small. She'll grow. Will she be able to play with me? Eventually. Good. He nodded firmly. I'll teach her everything. How to fish, how to ride, how to be tough like Pa. Jake ruffled his hair. I'm counting on it, son. Clara looked at her family, her husband, her children, her home. A year ago, she'd been dying in the snow, ready to give up, ready to let the cold take her. And now she had everything. Jake. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For carrying my burden. She smiled at him. Until I was strong enough to carry it myself. Jake leaned down and kissed her forehead. Thank you for letting me. Outside, spring was in full bloom. The garden Clara had planted was green and growing. The house Jake had built stood strong and tall. And inside, a new life was just beginning. That summer they built an addition to the house. A room for the baby. A bigger kitchen. A proper porch where Clara could sit in the evenings and watch the sunset. Old Tom came by every week. Agnes visited whenever she could. The community they'd built grew stronger with each passing month. One evening, Clara sat on the porch with Rebecca in her arms. Jake was in the yard teaching Hank how to throw a rope. Lily was picking wildflowers nearby. "Mama," Hank called. "Yes, baby." "Watch this." He swung the rope trying to lasso a fence post, missed by 3 feet. "Darn it." "Language." "Pa says darn." "Pa's a bad influence." Jake grinned at her. "I heard that." "You were supposed to." Lily ran over with a fistful of flowers. "For you, Mama." Clara took them, purple and yellow and white. "They're beautiful, sweetheart." "For baby, too." Lily placed a single flower on Rebecca's blanket. Clara's eyes stung. A year ago, Lily barely spoke. Now she chattered constantly, catching up on all the words she'd been holding inside. "Thank you, baby." Lily beamed and ran back to her picking. Jake walked over and sat beside Clara. He was sweaty and dusty and smiling. "Good day," he said. "The best. Better than yesterday." "Every day is better than yesterday." He took her hand, the one with his mother's ring. "I love you, Clara Calhoun." "I love you too, Jake Calhoun." They sat there watching their children play until the sun dipped below the horizon. That night, after everyone was asleep, Clara slipped outside. She walked to the wooden arch Jake had built on their wedding day. The wildflowers were gone now, replaced by climbing roses she'd planted in the spring. She sat down on the grass and looked up at the stars. "Samuel," she said quietly, "I hope you can hear me, wherever you are." The wind rustled through the roses. "I found someone good, someone who takes care of your children like they were his own." She paused. "I know you'd want me to be happy. And I am. Finally. After everything." She touched her ring. "I'll never forget you. Not ever. You gave me Hank and Lily. You gave me years of love. That doesn't disappear just because you're gone." A tear slid down her cheek. "But I'm letting go now. Of the grief. Of the guilt. Of everything that's been holding me back." She smiled. "I'm finally living again, Samuel. Really living." The wind blew warm and soft. Clara closed her eyes and breathed deep. When she opened them, Jake was standing at the edge of the clearing. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "You didn't." She held out her hand. "Come sit with me." He did. Wrapped his arm around her, held her close. "You okay?" "Yeah." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'm okay." They sat in silence, watching the stars wheel overhead. Clara. You know that day I found you in the snow?" "I remember." "I almost didn't stop." She pulled back. "What?" "I was tired, cold, ready to get back to the ranch." He looked at her. "But something made me turn my horse. Something told me to ride toward the ridge. And there you were. You never told me that." I was ashamed. He shook his head. "I almost rode past. Almost left you there. And then I would have lost everything without ever knowing I had it." Clara touched his face. "But you didn't. You stopped. You saved us. You saved yourselves. I just helped." "That's not true." "It is." He took her hand. "Clara, you were dying in that snow, but you were still fighting. Still holding on to your children. Still refusing to give up." His voice cracked. "That's not someone who needs saving. That's someone who needs a chance. And you gave me one. We gave each other one." Clara kissed him, soft, slow, full of everything she couldn't say. "Take me home," she whispered. "You are home." "Then take me to bed." Jake laughed. "Yes, ma'am." They walked back together hand in hand under a sky full of stars. Years later, people would tell the story. The story of the widow who walked across Wyoming with her children, who nearly died in the snow, who was saved by a cowboy who'd lost everything and found everything again. They'd tell it around campfires and in schoolhouses and on front porches at sunset. The story would grow and change as stories do. Some parts would be forgotten. Others would be exaggerated. But the heart of it would remain. A woman who refused to give up. A man who refused to walk away. Two broken people who built something whole together. Clara lived to be 87 years old. She saw Hank grow up and start a ranch of his own. She watched Lily become a school teacher, just like Clara had been. She held Rebecca's children in her arms and told them stories of their grandfather. Jake died first at 73, quiet and peaceful in their bed with Clara beside him. His last words were, "Thank you for everything." Clara buried him under the arch where they'd been married. She planted roses on his grave and visited every day until she couldn't walk anymore. And when she finally closed her eyes for the last time, she wasn't afraid. She knew what waited for her on the other side. Samuel, who she'd loved first. Jake, who she'd loved last. Rebecca, the sister Jake had lost. All the people she'd carried with her, all the burdens she'd set down, all the love she'd given and received. Her last thought was of that morning in the snow. The moment she'd fallen to her knees. The moment she'd given up. And then, hoofbeats. A voice. A hand reaching down. "You folks need help." Yes, she thought. Yes, we did. And help came. Clara Ruth Calhoun died on a spring morning with wildflowers blooming outside her window and her children gathered around her bed. Her last words were simple. "It was worth it," she said. "Every step, every tear, every moment." She smiled. It was all worth it. And it was. Because some roads lead to nowhere. Some roads lead to ruin. But hers led home. And that made all the difference.